Hello, and good morning. I'm Sandra and I'm coming from Open Mind Coaching. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that your weekend has been a great one. Mine's been rather busy, celebrating and meeting with the family and stuff like that. So, got something in my eye. So it's been fabulous. It's Monday. And every Monday I meet here with you to share a tip for the week, something I've been thinking about and something that I think that you might benefit from if I shared. So I hope that is the case. Either way, thank you for joining me. So today I'd like to share a little bit about validation. Validation. What is validation? Well, if you think about us, most of us have grown up from a baby, really, from small children, looking externally for validation, for authentication. That's what validation means, for proof, for endorsement, for justification, for corroboration. So all of those things really that make us feel connected to the external world outside of ourselves. I've got Stephen, thank you so much for joining me. So validation, we therefore get into the habit. That is what we learn. If we look outside of ourselves, we learn how to behave, we learn what will get us the attention that we need, what will get, as babies, what will give us the food, the comfort, the warmth, everything that we need. So looking externally for our validation is something that, as I said, that we've grown up doing and, looking for to justify who we are and what we are. But I believe that as we get older, we should begin to look at validation slightly differently. And I mean, looking within ourselves for the validation that really gives us the levels of happiness, contentment, internal security that we need. And that can be quite hard because especially, these days we are bombarded with lots of different information about how we should look, who we should look like, what we should say, how we should walk, talk, everything, what we should buy, what we shouldn't have, what's the in thing. And particularly for teenagers, I know when I was that age, some time ago, but when I was a youngster, when I was growing up as a teenager, looking to my peers for validation was really something that was important. If you weren't in the in crowd or the it crowd, you felt that you hadn't achieved or accomplished something. And we still have that today with all the issues around bullying for young people at all ages, and even in the workplace. There's still an awful lot of bullying that goes on in the workplace. It is my view that people who are still looking for external validation find different ways to cover up that hole, that need to be justified, to be given the stamp of approval by other people. And there is that belief that if you look to other people to approve you, then you give them the power not only to make you feel valued, but also you give them the power to take that approval away, and by doing so make you feel less valued, of less importance, and that again can be damaging even as adults. So I was thinking about validation this week, over the weekend really, and I thought maybe I'd share with that. So as I've said, validation, the word validation means authentication. So you're looking for people to give authenticate who you are and what you are. Proof, it's endorsement, justification, or corroboration. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need those things in order to work through whatever it is that we're doing in our lives, in our careers, in our businesses. Certainly we do need to work with other people, and we do need people to tell us whether our ideas or our actions are beneficial towards the goals that is wanting to be achieved in the business. But it's when we take those things personally, when we connect those views to who we are, that the issue of validation, internal validation or self-worth can come up to bite us on the proverbial bum and, cause problems for us. And how do we deal with that? Well, this week I'd like you to think about this particular question. How often do you look outside of yourself for validation, for self-worth? How often do you do that? And you may be surprised to find that we do it quite often. And so therefore, if we get that validation, we're happy and we feel worthy. But if we don't, then the reverse is the case. All of a sudden, we're not happy. And all of a sudden, we feel as though we're not worth it, we're not valued, and we're not achieving something. So how do you change that? Actually, the path to changing that is quite simple. But it is so simple that we ignore it, or we have difficulty with it. Sometimes the most simple things we can find the more difficult to do. They may seem too childlike. So, oops, I just knocked something off my desk. So what is it? Well, I practice two particular things. And so I'll share them with you. And I practice them and I found them to be quite beneficial. So the first one is to acknowledge the things about myself that I like. And it's as simple as that. Regularly acknowledge the things about myself that I like and I am grateful for. So one of the things that I've always liked about myself is that I love learning new things. I love learning, and all sorts of areas, whether it's to do with my business. I love learning. I will read, lots of different books about my areas, which are training and leadership management and coaching, mentoring, those things. I will read about other people who do these things well. How did they, what techniques did they use? How did they get to where they are? Because I love learning and I can try to incorporate some of those things within myself. So that's one of the things I love about me. I love the fact that I sing. And I like doing that as often as I can. I love the fact that I am good with people. So you might acknowledge those things in your head, and if you do that, it's absolutely fantastic. I'd like to encourage you to take it a step further and regularly write at least 3 things, between 3 and 5 things about yourself every day that you like. It could be that you did something new for the first time and quite enjoyed that, and that you pushed yourself through that challenge of learning. It could be as simple as that. It could be, that you like to make the dinner. It could be that you enjoy washing the cars. It could be anything at all about yourself that you are grateful for and that you like. And when we take this exercise on regularly, it begins to build our internal validation, our internal values. We appreciate ourselves more, and we begin to practice focusing, looking inside for that validation that we all want and need. It's a part of being human. So wanting that external validation is just something we do when we're younger, and that's right. But when we get older, I think we need to appreciate that we have so much about ourselves to be grateful for. So my second thing that I do, and when I tell people this, they feel so uncomfortable. They said, oh, I could never do that. Well, that's why you should do it. The fact that you think you could never do it because it feels uncomfortable. But we look at other people and expect this level of validation. Why not give it to yourselves? And all this is I stand in front of the mirror every morning. It could be when I am getting dressed, I'm brushing my teeth, washing my face in the morning. And I look myself in the eye in the mirror and I say, I love you. I look myself in the eye long enough so that I begin to be calm about looking myself. You might look, it's quite difficult to look at both of our eyes at the same time. So look in one eye and focus and feel that you are really looking at yourself, and then say, I love you. I love you. And say that to yourself. I say it 2 or 3 times. And then sometimes I think, well, I'll look in the other eye and get comfortable and say the same thing. And those 2 simple practices have worked for me, have helped me to realize that I am valued. If we don't value ourselves, if we don't appreciate and be grateful for what we do and bring to the world every day, then how can other people? I always say that we show people how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. So if we continually look outside for validation, that external validation, we are saying to people, I have no worth myself, only you can give me worth. However, if we change that and realize that we are unique, we are a gift to this world, and we have an awful lot to be thankful for, and begin to be thankful for ourselves, we set an example by how we behave to ourselves, how we talk about ourselves, how we value our contribution, and we set that standard for other people. And therefore, it helps you also to recognize when people are not treating you the way you deserve to be treated. It's only when we don't love ourselves and we have a hole that we either bully other people to cover our own hole, our own sense of lack of self-worth, or we allow other people to treat us badly, so we suffer maybe at the hands of bullies or other people who don't appreciate themselves and inflict their lack of self-love and appreciation on us. How do you get over that? By being strong within yourself. How do you be strong within yourself? You learn and you practice loving yourself. And that will give you internal validation that no one can take away from you. So this week, ask yourself, become conscious of how often you look outside of yourself, you look to other people to validate your contribution. Now, it doesn't mean that someone doesn't say, well, okay, this isn't working for the project, or this isn't quite what I wanted, or could you change this, or maybe you've misunderstood. Those things are responding to your skills. Those are external to you. The things that you do, they're not your inner self. They're not who you are. They're a part of your practice, your activity, which are things that can change and which are things that you can learn to develop. They're not who you are inside. And even that could give you something to be grateful for. If you are someone who learns easily and quickly, someone who can take constructive criticism and benefit from it, then that's something to be grateful for about yourself. So ask yourself and become conscious of how often you look to other people to validate who you are. And see if you can begin maybe to use those 2 exercises that I do, looking in the mirror every day, looking in my eyes every day and saying, I love you. And also finding between 3 and 5 things every day to be grateful for about yourself. When you can find self-validation, that helps you to block the negative comments, the negative behavior, the negative opinion of other people, because you're filling that hole, that gap with self-validation. You're not at the hands of other people. So I hope that that has helped you this Monday, and that you let me know what you think about that. I do have, let me see, I have a couple of people. Hi, Nick. Thanks for joining me. Joe, hi. Joe Hollis, thanks for joining me. Joe says, hard to validate when there's a lot of negativity and I have to keep faith in myself. Joe, that is true. There is an awful lot of negativity because other people are lacking that self-validation. So the way to do that, in their opinion, is to make you feel less. So the way to do it is love yourself. And you're absolutely right. Keep faith in yourself, value yourself, and talk to yourself about what you value about yourself, and tell yourself that you love yourself. Be kind to yourself in how you talk to yourself. You know, would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself? And if the answer is no, then change the way you talk to yourself. I also have Karen that's joined me. Great. Hi, Karen. Great to have you on board. Stephen, thank you for joining me. And Joe says, thanks. Love the Mirror Challenge. Yes. And I actually have that as a program, the Mirror Challenge. I go through sharing lots of different things with regard to the mirror technique. So I hope that that has helped you, and that this week you will be stronger in terms of your internal validation as you move forward. Know that you have an awful lot to share with this world, and you share it better the stronger you are within and the more you value and love yourself. So let me know how this works for you. Thank you for those who have shared, and I look forward to joining you again later on in the week with my Stop and Be Grateful, which happens on Fridays. Have a great week. Know that you are valued and worth it, and catch up with me later on in the week. Have a wonderful day. So sending you love, light, and every good thing. I'm Sandra Pollock from Open Mind Coaching, wishing you a wonderful day and a fabulous week. Thanks for joining me, and see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.